I'm Chef Ange. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to my kitchen. On today's episode, I want to show you an amazing cold weather soup that warms your bones and really super healthy. This is my minestrone soup. This super hearty vegetable soup, complete with beans, tons of vegetables, and just uses some pantry ingredients you probably already have on hand. In fact, when I went to go film this recipe, I already had most of the stuff in the fridge. So for the full ingredient list and directions, check the description box below. And while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell so you can find out when I drop new recipe and tip videos every week. Let's get cooking.
The key to making good soup is layering in flavors and textures. So the first step is chopping up our vegetables, and we're going to cut these into a lot of different sizes. You can see I'm going to put a small dice on that onion, and now I'm going to cut the celery ribs just a little bit bigger. And then I'm also going to split some carrots and then chop these down into a size that's probably right in the middle of the celeries and the onions. So you want your soup to have varying flavors and textures, and cutting stuff into different sizes, that helps vary the texture of the soup. So we're going to mince that garlic up, and then we're also going to cut this potato into pieces. And you can see I'm dragging my knife tip so potato doesn't stick to the knife. It's just a little tip for you. And now we're going to de-seed these tomatoes. So I cut them into quarters, and then I just like to run my knife tip as I use the roundness of the tomato to cut through the seed. Then to put them into a dice, I cut them into strips, I turn them, and then I'll use that rocker chopper motion again and cut them into the small dice. So now in this large stock pot I have heated over medium-high heat. I'm going to add some oil, and you can see that oil smoked on contact as soon as I threw it in there. That just means the pan's hot enough. We're going to add the onions, the celery, and the garlic, and we're going to saute for a few minutes until those soften up just a little bit. And I'm always spreading stuff out to make sure it has maximum contact. At this point, we're going to season with a pinch or two of salt and some fresh ground black pepper. And if you know how I feel about fresh ground black pepper because you've watched my videos before, fresh ground is always better than the pre-ground stuff, but if you have the pre-ground stuff, you can use it. And as we're making the soup and adding ingredients, we're always mixing along the way to make sure that everything is well distributed and cooking pretty evenly. Now we're going to add that minced garlic, and we're also going to saute for a minute or two until the garlic becomes fragrant. At this point, things start to smell really, really good in the kitchen between the mirepoix that's already in there plus the garlic. And now we're going to add in our diced tomatoes, and we're going to mix again, and again just incorporating everything throughout and kind of layering in these vegetables one at a time. So now let's put our flavor enhancer in there. This is the Better Than Bouillon vegetable bouillon paste. I love their products. They add such great flavor to things like soups. And now we're going to put in a little tomato paste, and now we're going to mix both of those pastes until they're well incorporated all throughout those vegetables. And now we're making this like mock sofrito that is going to be the base for the soup that's going to be built off of it. So now we're going to add our vegetable stock into the pot. And this is going to cool the pot down considerably, so we're going to have to bring this up to a boil. So while I'm adding this, I'm still just continuing that heat from the bottom. And we're using vegetable stock here because I want to keep this dish as plant-based as possible for all you vegetarians and plant-based eaters out there. But if you don't care about that and you just want to use chicken broth because that's what you have on hand, go ahead and use that. And now I'm going to sprinkle in some dried Italian seasoning, and you can see I'm just throwing it in there. I'm not really measuring, but I have for the recipe, and you can check that out in the description box where the full ingredient list is in there. And now we're going to add 2 or 3 bay leaves. Sometimes these things are massive, sometimes they're really small, so I'll just put 3 in there. And then we'll give those dried herbs a little bit of a mix. Now in go those potatoes that we cut up before. And I could have added all this stuff together and just boiled it, but it wouldn't have came out the same as if we're layering it in there one at a time. So in go the canned beans that have been drained and rinsed. And now we're mixing that up, and now this is starting to look like a real good soup. And now in go the frozen cut green beans. I just use frozen because this is what I had, but you can definitely use fresh here. Just cut them into similar size. And now we're going to cover this, and we're going to simmer for anywhere between 15 to 20 minutes. Once that's simmered, I'm going to add in that baby spinach, or you can add kale or any other green. But you can see that once we add that in there, it really adds a nice color, and Dark leafy greens are some of the healthiest vegetables that you can eat. And so if we can add that into this soup is loaded with vegetables. Super healthy ones too. Now look how delicious this soup is starting to look. So that baby spinach doesn't need much time at all to completely wilt. And now we're going to make our real soup. So I like to make a base soup that is large in volume because I'm going to take some of this, I'm going to freeze it. But now I'm going to add some pasta. And I don't want to add pasta to soup that I'm going to store because when you reheat it, the pasta is going to get gummy. So I'm only going to make a finished soup product with pasta right before we eat it. So I'm going to take some of that stuff from the large stock pot, let's call it my soup base, and we're going to add the pasta to the soup base and then cook the pasta all the way through. Here I have some medium-sized shells, and now I'm just boiling the pasta and cooking it as per the directions on there. After that, we're going to take it off the heat. We're going to add some fresh chopped parsley and give that a little bit of a mix. And this soup is good to hit a bowl. And so to serve, we're going to ladle the soup into the bowl. Make sure we're getting plenty of the pasta and the vegetables in there along with the broth. You want to make sure that you get that good ratio of broth to stuff inside the soup. And now to make it a little extra fancy, a little extra fresh chopped parsley on the top to finish. And it's still the end of winter here, and this soup is going to totally hit the spot.
This soup smells fantastic. It's a super cold day out and I just can't wait to eat it. But before I eat it, soup is not complete unless it's got some cheese on it. So we're gonna freshly grate some Parmesan cheese right on the top. Don't be skimpy with this because this is what really makes the soup. I also leave a little bit of room for salt in there. So this soup could have probably had a touch more salt, but once we add that cheese, that's enough salt right there because the cheese has plenty of salt in it. So here we go. Let's see how we did. So a nice bite here with some of the vegetables, a little bit of the pasta. I mean, this is where delicious meets nutritious. This is so flavorful, so good, and I just feel healthier just eating because there's so many vegetables in here. What a delicious, yummy, and healthy bowl of soup. Well, I'm Chef Ange. This is my minestrone soup. Let me know in the comments section how yours comes out. If you haven't already, hit the notification bell and subscribe to my channel so you can find out when I drop new awesome recipes just like this. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.